Hey, welcome to my live stream tonight, everybody. David Burns with you here today, and love to see the Beak Squad here with us. And so many of you are joining us tonight from all around the world. Thank you. Appreciate all of you so much for joining me tonight. How you doing tonight, everyone? Hey, I hope you're having a good day, good evening tonight, whatever you're up to. I hope things are going well for you. And boy, here in Illinois, the weather has been really odd for us. I mean, every now and again, we'll get warm up weather like this in December, but man, the weather lately has been very interesting. Big shout out tonight to our moderators, Sherry and Jessica, working behind the scenes, making it all happen. When I mess up, they can usually cover it up and not make it look so bad. And so, yeah, the weather, it's been really strange. My bees have been flying, and today I felt the need to give them some sugar water. I did some community feeding. They weren't going crazy over it, but a little bit. And wow, hey Tom, new member. Yeah, you became. I guess they joined the either the Nectar novice or became a Beak Squad ambassador. So good to have you as a member. That's good. And I noticed that my bees were really looking for some protein, so I put some pollen out, or pollen substitute powder, and wow, they really went after that. I was really surprised how much they enjoyed that. But it was nothing like when I tried to feed them in the spring. Now in the spring, they go crazy over anything I put out there, so they're not going out there big time. But it's interesting to see bees flying almost every day now. And I made a video. If you haven't seen that yet, I made a video where I actually I got my nerves up and went into a hive when it was really too cold to do it. And, I always tell people, don't inspect a hive unless it's at least 60, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, or else you could damage brood, kill brood, chill brood. And so we were careful. That's a good video. I think that's the first time I've ever inspected a hive in December. I really do. And I was astonished. I was just blown away with what I saw. In fact, I want to go back in there again and take better pictures because, wow, were my bees raising a lot of brood. And that's what I like for them to do. And all that brood that they're raising now is actually winter physiology. Bees of winter physiology. So I've learned a long time ago, if I can get bees of winter physiology, man, my bees have a far better chance of making it through an Illinois prairie land winter. So if it ever turns winter, I don't know, maybe it won't. So, well, yeah, guys, it's great to see you all. And today I want to talk about, if you've seen my thumbnail about this live stream, I want to talk about our beekeepers getting bamboozled with all of the new gimmicks that are coming out in beekeeping. And I really shouldn't say gimmicks, they're not all gimmicks, but it's a lot of new information and a lot of new products, a lot of new different types of feed and additives and things to give bees. And wow, I don't know how new beekeepers do it. I don't know how you can actually just become a new beekeeper and decide what in the world do I need, especially when it comes to maybe treatments, or maybe it comes to dealing with small hive beetle, or when it comes to gizmos and gadgets that you can add to your hives or add to your equipment, paraphernalias and all this. It's just so much stuff. And then not to mention, I've been blown away at all the different feeds, all the different types of food, syrup and fondants, and all the different things we can feed bees now. And of course, whichever one comes out and people make the most hoorah over, everybody has to have that. I mean, we're pretty gullible, aren't we? Oh my gosh, it's just insane. And I notice that beekeepers, because we get a lot of emails and such, I notice beekeepers are really quick to pick up a news story, a new item, a new news story came out where somebody's testing something or discovering something. It is just phenomenal. I get people on my YouTube channel. Even today, somebody told me that I should look into treating or using powdered sugar to deal with mites. Well, one of the first videos I made on here on YouTube in 2008 was showing you how to grind sugar and make it into powdered sugar. So I've been doing that for a long time. But some people just hear about something and it's brand new to them and they want to tell me about it. But there are some new things coming out. But gizmos and gadgets, friends, are at an all-time high in beekeeping. I am blown away. I don't know what to do about it. Listen, there's not enough hours in the daytime for me to actually test all the new gizmos and gadgets that are coming out. I don't have enough time to do that. I really don't. It's amazing. Are beekeepers getting bamboozled? I like that word. Into buying snake oil, maybe buying these gizmos and gadgets that may not really make a hill of beans difference? Well, you bet they are. They're out there. These items are out there. Not everything is. Don't get me wrong. Hear me all the way through. I've got a lot to tell you. But there are a lot of things out there that are just a waste of money and time. Now, before I go any further, let me say that there's no way on my YouTube channel, I made a commitment a long time ago that there's no way that I'm going to use my channel to put anyone down, to talk negatively about a beekeeping company or things that they sell. I'm just not going to do that. There's no reason for that to happen, I don't think. I can have my opinions, but I don't think there's any reason for me to put somebody down or talk negatively about somebody that could hurt their business or hurt them as a person. That's just not, you can. I'm not saying it's wrong if you do. I'm just saying that's how I'm wired. I'm not going to do that. I want to build people up and encourage people. So I'm never going to do that. But wait, before I say never, let me say, I probably shouldn't say I'm never going to do it. There's been a few times I really wanted to. There's been a few times where I set up a script where I was going to say, boom. But then I was like, no, no, I need to let that simmer for a while before I really pursue that. But, you get kind of teed off about something and you want to go out there and say something about it. But I want to build people up. And if I have something negative to say about a product, a person, or an item in beekeeping, I'm just going to talk to them about it. I've called up many companies, don't get me wrong, called up many beekeeping companies and said, wow, are you really selling this? Seriously? In good conscience? How can you do that? I've done that, but I'm talking to the company, manufacturers, or I'm talking to individual people. So, but I'm not going to go out in public and I'm going to give them a chance, right, to fix it. But so let me say that I've tried a lot of new beekeeping equipment and on almost a daily basis, pieces, and companies send me things. Now, companies send me things, thankfully, I want to appreciate all you guys for subscribing. I've got 130,000 subscribers. That's a large audience. I'm humbled by that. Don't get me wrong, but it's attractive for people that want to get their products out in front of beekeepers to send me things and say, hey, David, here's a this and that. Try it. Tell me what you think. Well, what they're saying is, I want you to try it and make a video about it. Some people even say that. Some people offer me money to do that. But nonetheless, I have a room full, literally a room full of things that people send me that is the next best thing. Some of those might be. I don't know. I receive a lot of them. And I tell you, I've tried some of the things that people have sent me. Some of them I kind of like. And to be honest with you, some of them really suck big time. I'm sorry, they really do. Some of the things I get are awful. They're awful, and they're not going to work at all. But who knows? See, I don't want to go on there and make a video and say, somebody sent me this, I tried it, it sucks, it's awful, because maybe somebody will try it that lives in Alaska and it will be fantastic. Or somebody that tries it lives deep south, or who knows, maybe somebody in the UK, or, I don't know, some other part of the world, and it may work great for them. Or it may work better for you if you have a different type of hive or a different management style than I do. See what I'm saying? So just because it doesn't work good for me and my world and my corner of the universe doesn't mean it's not going to work great for somebody else. So, I mean, I could honestly say, it didn't work good for me. It might work good for you. But nonetheless, things just don't always work out the same depending on your beekeeping skill set and where you live. So, it's interesting. My dad was a Ford man. Now, I know some of you are my age. You can relate to this. There's so many different cars now. When I was a kid, there was like Ford, Chevrolet, Plymouth. That was about it, and that's all I knew about anyway. That's the 60s, right? So in 1960, my mom and dad had Fords because my dad was a Ford man. And I don't think he was a Ford man for any other reason than he just kind of liked Fords. And, I thought Fords were the best cars ever because my dad thought so. And I've had a lot of different kind of cars that aren't Ford over the years. But listen, I remember the Fords that we had, and he became very, I guess my dad was very opinionated. So he'd voice his opinion about Ford is the only car there is. That's the way beekeepers sometimes are, right? They're like, hey, this particular type of syrup that you should feed bees, this is the only thing that works. I don't know why anybody else, you just get into that kind of a mindset sometimes, and it pushes anybody else out that has a different type of syrup or a different type of hive. There are new hives coming out. I would say at least probably significant hives are probably 5 to 10 new hives a year that people are inventing. And yet it doesn't take much for beekeepers to quickly say, that's stupid. And then they don't get any traction. That's why people send them to people that are on YouTube, because they're hoping that we can say something halfway decent about it instead of putting it down. But, speaking about that Ford, my mom and dad had a Ford when I was growing up. It's the first car you remember as a kid. And I was born in 1960. My mom and dad had I remember the 1963, I may have the year wrong, but I think it was a 63 Ford Galaxy 500. The thing must have been 15 tons. It was, back then they made cars so big, like a boat. It was heavy, and didn't come with an air conditioner. My dad put one in afterward. But in the back seat, I'm little, I was born in 60. So, 1963, when they got the car, I was just 3 years old. But I remember in the back seat, no seatbelt. They didn't have seatbelts in the 60s. But in the back, listen to this, people. Listen, leave a comment if you know what I'm talking about. The back window had a ledge on it where the back seats came up, and then there was a ledge where the window came down. That ledge, I laid in that ledge. I was small enough. I could climb up in there, lay down in the ledge of a back seat of a car going 60, 70 miles an hour down the road. Can you imagine that? I love to lay up there. Insane, isn't it, to think about? I just thought about that. It was like, wow, that is... They didn't have seatbelts back then. The cars, my dad had to put seatbelts in cars when they started, kind of pushing them a little bit more. They didn't have seatbelts. So, I'm not going to get caught up in being just a Ford guy or just a this or that guy, because I want everybody to have a fair chance in beekeeping. I'm not going to just promote one item on my website or my YouTube channel. I'm not going to put a person down or a product down. I don't really see any need for that, but I do want to talk about this further. So stay with me. Are we getting bamboozled? And how do I know that we are? We are indeed getting a lot of stuff thrown at us that does not work. It really doesn't. Now, listen to this. I'm not going to name any names, but I go to a lot of conferences, and there's a lot of vendors at conferences, right? And so I oftentimes, to be honest with you, I don't enjoy going and listening to speakers as much as I do just enjoy talking to beekeepers. So sometimes I'm spending more time talking to beekeepers and learning a lot about beekeepers. I'll go to a few talks, but a lot of conferences that I go to, I hang out in the vendor area, just milling around talking and looking at stuff, looking at products and all. And my good friend, John Zavishlock, he and I actually go to a lot of conferences together, and we'll go through the vendor area. Now, I like going through vendor area with John because he is, how do I say this nicely? There's no way to say it nicely. I can't come up with anything. He can become very cynical in a kind of a humorous way of a lot of these products and things that we come across, right? He's a PhD in entomology, so he has a, science behind him. He's looking at stuff, and he's whispering in my ear, what in the world is this? How would that work? That's lunar. This is never going to work. This is crazy. and we're trying not to say that loud enough for the vendor can hear us. But in one situation this year, not too many months ago, we came up to a very popular beekeeping company, well-known beekeeping company to all of you. They were selling this new small hive beetle gizmo. And I'm not going to say what it is because they still sell it. And so John and I looked at it, and the gentleman at the vendor station for this company that I'm trying very hard not to say started telling us all about this new beetle gizmo that's supposed to really blah, 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 small hive beetle, yada, 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 right? And, John couldn't hold back anymore. He started saying, oh, but this and but that and but this, right? I don't remember exactly how it all transpired, but at one point, the gentleman was walking with us. I don't know why, but he was walking with us to another vendor place holding this item in his hand, right? And, and finally he said to both John and myself, he said, to be honest with you, this doesn't work. This is no good. This item doesn't work. And yet he's pushing them at the vendor spot. Now, if you have a problem with small hive beetle and you walk up there and they're pushing this new small hive beetle gizmo and somebody tells you, wow, look at this, you're going to take it home with you. I mean, I would even take it home with me. This year, I would take 10 of them. I would at least try, right? I'm a sucker for that. I really am. I mean, you tell me something that's going to help me do something. I'm going to be one of these older people that gets really old. I'm going to probably sign my bank account away to some guy in other country that is going to give me $1 million for giving them my account number. But anyway, there's been so many times where I have seen these kind of items and I've seen beekeepers carrying them out, and I'm thinking, oh, I got to keep my mouth shut because I tried that and that is not going to do what they think it's going to do. It's not. That's the way of business, though. Let's be honest. Anybody that runs a business, hey, let's be honest. We're all salesmen. Aren't we all salesmen? Stay with me now. Listen, if you're a child, you're trying to sell something to your parents by saying, hey, mom, my friends are coming over, and you set up this nice little story because you're trying to sell something. Can we go see a movie? I did all my homework. I cleaned the dishes. See, you're a salesman. You're a child that's selling something to your parents. Parents sell things to their children. Now, until you eat all your food, you're not going to be able to eat all your vegetables, and you're not going to get any time on the whatever. We're selling something all the time, husbands and wives, and it's the way people have to present themselves. I get it. Companies have to sell things or they're not going to stay in business. And let's face it, there are some things that companies have come up with that have been pretty darn good, and they sell them, and we're glad they do because we like them. And I'm glad they came up with that because it really helps. But mixed in all of that, do you remember Green Acres? What was that guy's name? Mr. Haney on Green Acres. He used to have that truck, and he'd always come over there. I think I got his name right. He'd come over there and he'd have this old truck with all these things in it he's trying to sell. And as soon as they sell, no, we don't need any carpeting, he'd pull another, blind down that had some other things he was selling. Oh, I got a good deal on this and that. Open up his shirt, have all these watches on it. I feel like that's sometimes what I'm up against when it comes to looking through bee magazines and going through vendor areas. But again, you just have to struggle with that. So now let me summarize this by saying this. What should a beekeeper do to deal with all these new things to help you make a decision as to which ones are these good enough to try and spend my money on and might do as good as people claim they are? Okay, got 3 things for you, at least 3. Number 1, it helps if you know bee biology. I know you're thinking, oh, David, don't say that again. I don't want to know bee biology. I'm not saying become an entomologist or anything. I'm just saying learn about bees, know them so well that you can kind of start putting 1 plus 1 together and get 2. And then you realize, wait a minute, I don't think this item's going to work because I know my bees pretty well. And so their bee biology is going to help you understand that a lot, what bees do at different times of the seasons. So understand bee biology. And the second thing I encourage you to do is try it. before you put it down and call it dumb and stupid, try it. What do you got to lose? I mean, now when you try it, here's the thing. To do a really good study on something, you really do need at least, I'd say 10 or 20 hives that are controlled. That means that you don't do anything to them. And then you got 10 or 20 hives where you try this new thing in, and maybe another 10 or 20 where you try a different thing. And then you can compare the controlled to this item to the other item. And then you can come up with some numbers. But if you're just going to try it on one hive and it does or doesn't work, it really doesn't tell you too much other than it doesn't tell you that your hive's doing good because you put that item in there. It just says your hive's doing good with that item in there, but it might have done good with the item not in there, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So, but anyway, might as well try it and see how it looks. The third thing is, this is going to be a tough one. And it's tough for me because I'm kind of hard-headed. If you don't know that about me, I hide it on my YouTube channel. I don't show that I'm hard-headed, opinionated, and stubborn. I'm getting better. I'm being more open-minded. That's a third thing. Remain open-minded when somebody comes up with a new study, somebody comes up with a new item or a new beetle gizmo, small beetle gizmo. Be a little open-minded and be flexible and say to yourself, you know what? Maybe this will work. Look at this Langstroth hive. Langstroth really kind of took some pressure with the Langstroth hive that's not going to work. So, you got to remain a little bit more flexible, open-minded, and think of how you would feel if you really did try to invent something or make something and it really worked good for you. And you wanted to help other people understand why they can help bees. But then all you got was pushback, and all you got was people hating on you. We need to be a little more encouraging because we want to see people have the ability to be creative, and we don't want to become a hostile environment where people no longer want to try to create anything or do a study because beekeepers are going to grind them up when something else comes up like that. So if you approach something new with excessive criticism, we all should be a little, critical. But if we approach something with excessive criticism and suspicion, name calling, hatred, bullying, well, then, it's not going to give anybody a fair chance to try to create a new product that could help us all out a lot. Here's a famous quote. Ready? It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. Now, that's really good for beekeepers, right? Going along with that, Josh Billings had a quote where he said, I honestly believe it's better to know nothing than to know what ain't so. Now, what does all this mean in context? Well, it means that sometimes we get something so in our head that anything else comes along that we just don't have a place for it in our mind. We're just not going to even think about it. So I was also, where are we at on time? Okay, we're good on time. Well, listen to this. I should say this and make a video on this, but I'm going to share it with you guys tonight. By the way, we have a special announcement coming up in a little bit, so stay with me. So what proves that you are a very good beekeeper? I want you to go through this with me for a minute. So let's say that, how do you prove that you're the best beekeeper there is? How do you prove that somebody is a good beekeeper? Let's say on a deserted island somewhere, what if we give a beekeeper one hive, a smoker, a hive tool, and a hat and a veil, and we come back in 5 years to see how that beekeeper is doing? Now, wouldn't that tell us a lot about if that person is a good beekeeper or not? We didn't give them any treatment for mites. We didn't give them any small hive beetle gizmos. We didn't give them anything except just bees in a hive tool, smoker, hat and veil. There you go. What can you do with that? So let's go through some scenarios. How would you rate, this person's wisdom and experience based on how many hives that they were still running if you visited them in 5 years? Now, let's say that this person had 0. You came back 5 years later. It's like Gilligan's Island. You come back 5 years later, nobody's, no hives are there, nothing. Just old, boxes. Well, you might call this person a failure. You'd be like, man, not a good beekeeper. Couldn't even keep hives alive. Nothing. Nah, not a good beekeeper, right? Wait a minute. Whoa, before you say that, did you not realize that a hurricane hit his island the year, their island, the year that they started beekeeping, swept all the boxes away or just killed all their bees? The bees all died. Or maybe there was a massive infestation of pathogens that was beyond the beekeeper's control. Or maybe the beekeeper got really sick and couldn't tend to the bees on the island for a year, and they all perished without the beekeeper's assistance. See, doesn't mean the beekeeper's a bad beekeeper. There was things beyond their control. On the other hand, listen to this scenario. What if on the same island we came back 5 years later to Gilligan's Island, and wow, there we are, and here's a beekeeper now that has 8 hives going 5 years later. And we're like, whoa, you must be the best beekeeper ever. You've kept this hive, not only kept the hive going, you've got 8 hives total now in 5 years, catching swarms and everything. Whoa, you really know what you're doing. What if this beekeeper said, actually, no, I never opened them up at all. All I did was caught swarms and put them in a box. I don't know anything about bees. See how we can be deceived by sometimes the numbers? I just think that's so interesting to think about, all of these different scenarios. But all in all, I want to break this down to, it really does boil down to a hive tool, a hive, and bees, and a hat and a veil. That right there is the essence of beekeeping. There's a lot of other things that come into play, right? There's a lot of other things out there that we can buy. Let's face it, even our business sells products that people can give bees and make them, do better. I get it. It's not bad or wrong. I'm just saying there are a lot of things out there. But when it all boils down, it boils down to just bees in a box and us having the skills to do our best to keep them alive. And we have to be responsible to figure out which one of these things that are out there on the market today, which one of these types of hives, or which one of these types of different products and things that people are giving us, which one of these things today could really help us out, help me out where I live. And so the best way to do it, know your bee biology, understand bees really well, be open-minded enough to give it a try, see how it works. Okay, now, good talk. Thanks, guys. That was a lot of fun for me to get off my chest. I feel better now. That's good. Well, I want to share one more thing with you guys tonight. I'm excited about the North American Honeybee Expo coming up January the 4th through the 6th. I keep watching the calendar just click by like crazy, and that's coming up here not too far away in the future. But I'll be speaking on Saturday at 9:30 a.m. in the East Hall, whatever that means. So if you want to write that down and be there to hear me speak, I'm looking forward to being there. It's going to be a lot of fun times at North American Honeybee Expo. And so we know that some of you have ordering some Beak Squad materials like shirts and hats, and you want to pick those up there. So that'll be a good place to meet up with you guys and say hello. And again, let me encourage you. I know you see me often on my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching, subscribing, and giving me a thumbs up. But remember, you probably know me a lot better than I know you. So I may not know who you are. So you got to come up and tell me who you are. There's a lot of you out there. And so I appreciate all of you. So do come up and say hello to me at the North American Honeybee Expo, Louisville, Kentucky. I think they're still taking tickets too. So hope you can be there with us. And you can buy merchandise right there at the link on the screen. If you want to get a Beak Squad hat or a Beak Squad tumbler, I think these are called tumblers. And comes with a metal straw, which is reusable. That's pretty cool. Or a shirt. So check those out. All right, guys, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. And I want to take a moment to just answer any questions you might have in beekeeping. We got some time before our special announcement to run through any questions about beekeeping that you have. Love to answer your beekeeping questions. If I can't answer it, then I'll have to look it up and figure out, oh my gosh, I don't know how to answer that question. David Lewis. When I hear the word David Lewis, I think I'm in trouble because my middle name is Lewis. So when my mom said, David Lewis, I'm like, oh no, I'm in trouble, David Lewis. Will you also be live on YouTube from the expo? Not unless somebody else does it, because I understand that the internet costs quite a bit to have a Wi-Fi connection. And I'm too much of a penny pincher to do that, I think. I can barely afford my own internet here. So I don't think I'm interested in that. A plug-in, I think I saw where a plug-in is $170 for a receptacle to plug something in. Yikes. And I think it was just one receptacle. I don't know. So a little pricey. So probably won't be on YouTube there. Junebug. I'm considering either an 8-frame hive or a top bar due to weight of 10-frame hive. Any opinions? Well, a top bar hive is a whole different hive. So, you're going to have to weigh more than just the weight on a top bar hive. How you handle those frames are different, how you overwinter them, how you super them, and all that. But for the weight, an 8-frame hive means that you're lifting, let's say, a honey super off that has 2 less frames on it. And I think each frame is going to weigh at least 5 to 7 pounds full of honey. So it'd be 10 pounds lighter. I think I would go with an 8-frame hive. I've ran some 8-frame hives before, and it's easier. Let me say this though, as some beekeepers get older and don't want to lift heavy boxes anymore, you don't have to lift heavy boxes. Take an empty super out there and just lift out the super frames one at a time until you get about 5 of them out. And then you're only lifting 5 frames of honey super out. It makes the box half as heavy. That's good. Good advice. So kind of on your own on that one, Junebug. You just have to weigh it out, I guess. No pun intended. Mad Mike's Garage. Hey, good to see you, Mike. I enjoy being with you at the Hive, at the Convergence, content creator Convergence in Ohio. Normal to see yellow jackets going in and out of your beehives when it's cold for honeybees. No, anytime I see yellow jackets going in and out, I think my hive's dead. I mean, I'm not saying your hive is dead, but that's usually the case for me. If I see other critters going in and out, they're just robbing and eating, but who knows? But that's not normal. Better check that out. Good to see you again, Mike. Carmine. Hi, David. How are you seeing? Are you seeing drones this time of year? I've seen some flying during these warmer days. Thank you. I'm not sure where you live. Now, listen, some drones do overwinter with bees in the wintertime. They really do. I know most of us feel like all the drones are gone. They're all dead, but not really. They do kick them out in the fall, of course, but a lot of drones kind of get some free pass to hang out all winter long. So double check, make sure they're not just gigantic bees. I'm not trying to insult your intelligence here, but make sure they have big eyes that touch. The compound eyes should touch each other, whereas in a worker, they won't. And of course, they're bulky bodies too. Hey, Mark, how are you? How often is a good practice to replace a queen? I love that question. As a queen producer, I really think it's important to replace your queen at least, I don't like to run them at least no more than 2 years. And if you can afford it, either by your own queen rearing skills, you make your own queens, or by financially buying some, it's best to go into the fall with a brand new queen. When things are just, your hive has a better chance of surviving, I believe, when they have a new queen for that year. And you have less swarming in the spring if you have stronger pheromones from a newer queen. So many reasons. Now, I know you can argue with me all day long. I will be one person to argue that sometimes too. I've had that queen for 100 years and she's still in there doing great. Okay, well, keep her then. But what we know is, it's better to requeen once a year if you can. Don't go more than 2 years, I don't think. Hey, Jess, can you explain when and how to replace old frames in bottom boxes? That's a tough one. And the best thing to do is go in there and start learning how to manipulate frames. I think you mean in the brood nest area, probably the bottom boxes. So you have to go in there and start pulling them out in the spring when bees move up higher off of them, hopefully. Then you can go in there and pull some and pull the ones that have the least amount of things on them, like resources or brood, right? Sometimes you have to take an old frame out that has honey or bee bread on it and just discard it or replace the foundation on it. Use the wood frame or whatever. That's the best way to do it. There's no really good way to do it to make all your bees leave. Like you can't go order your bees, get off of this frame and get your resources somewhere else. Tomorrow I'm taking it. Can't do that. So sometimes you just got to kind of be messy with it. One of my sons has a saying that it may be messy, but we'll get it done, He was a Marine, so maybe he got it from the Marines. Yeah, so that's a good question, though. Well, there's Tom. How are you, Tom? What are your thoughts on the chemistry of cooked candy boards versus non-cooked candy boards? The argument seems kind of Ford and Chevy. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. The problem I have personally, I'm not taking sides, but I find sugar, like table sugar, to be something that bees might be more apt to have a lot more moisture to actually start breaking it down to be something they could literally drink. They don't have teeth, they can't chew this granulated sugar. So by cooking it, and if you cook it just right, you can make it where it's easily soluble for bees when their moisture hits it and it starts to turn into a liquid more. It's not really a hard candy. I think that's the optimal thing. I just find that a lot of times if it gets too hard, the bees are just going to carry it outside the hive. So I tend to want to make a candy board by old time recipes where the candy absorbs the moisture from the hive and turns that candy into something bees can consume. Hard to do that. Hard to get that just right. Hey, Richard, how are you? If you're catching swarms in an area, can you set up hives in the same area and catch swarms with the hives instead of using swarm traps in the spring? Oh, I see. So you're just going to put hives out there instead of swarm traps, maybe? The problem is sometimes the higher up you go with swarm traps, the better luck you'll have. If you get those swarm traps up off the ground 20 feet or so, bees swarm. They go up to the trees, right? So if you can get your swarm traps up in a tree, you're going to be better off. To this day, I don't recall, but I'm not 100% sure, but I can never remember having, and I've tried it, putting empty nukes or empty boxes out there hoping bees would swarm in there. No, they don't. I've seen them swarm on the outside of other hives, but I've never had them swarm into other hives that I've set out there. But they do swarm into swarm traps. You got some little swarm catcher smell to it and all, commander, and so that lemon smell attracts them. Good question. Wish it was that easy, but it usually isn't that easy to do. Yeah. But yeah, we all should be ready to catch swarms in the spring, because if the winter stays mild like this, we might have a lot more to deal with when spring rolls around, if the bees make it through winter real strong. That's for sure. Bees are not going for the flowers. I had planted to attract bees. Do they not feed near their hive 20 feet away? That's a good question. Depending on what kind of flowers you have, they may not like the particular flower. Bees do go close to their hive, especially the younger foragers. New foragers actually start off going close to the hive, getting kind of their experience in foraging. They stay close to home, so they'll go close by. But here's the thing about that. Bees are always going to go to the most sweetest and the most surplus of nectar. So if they have a huge field 2.5 miles away of buckwheat, they're going to say goodbye to your flowers near your house or something. So that's probably what's going on. They're probably finding something better far away, and that's where they're going. don't blame them. Kind of do the same thing with some things myself. Hey, Jessica, how are you doing? Look at that cow in the background. That's cool. Hello from South Carolina. Starting out first hive this spring. When is the best time to get the bees and to set them up? Wow, good question, Jessica. Love answering new beekeepers' questions. The best time to start getting things kind of squared away, you need to get your hive equipment right away, as soon as you can. Get those boxes. Either you're going to have to build them or paint them or learn all. If they're already built and painted, you're going to have to learn all about it. So get that so you can kind of get familiar with your equipment, the hive. And you're going to probably order your bees. I think some people are selling bees now for delivery or pickup in the spring. They're already selling them. Our bees go on sale in January the 1st. What, 2 or 3 weeks, right? So bees are going to sell out fast after the first of the year. So don't wait too long, because it's going to be hard for you to find bees if you wait until April. So South Carolina probably has a lot of people there that are beekeepers that are selling nukes, or you can buy packages or bring packages in. So gives you an idea. Get your equipment right away, and then get your bees after the first of the year. Get them ordered, paid for, and then know when you pick them up. I'm glad you're starting, Jessica. That's really good. Rob's Bees Apiary. Apiary is another word for a bee place, a bee location. Is it possible to wax your foundation too far in advance of placing them in use? Absolutely not. Not really. I mean, yeah, 100 years probably, yes, but not in the same season. Like, I could wax stuff today, put it out there in the spring. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. So even probably a couple of years, especially if you kind of keep them in a good stored location where they're not getting hot enough to melt off, or, kind of get, I don't know, old. But yeah, you can keep them in a climate controlled room for a long time. Absolutely. That's a good question. Guys have some good questions tonight. I love it. Yeah. Jessica's in charge of posting these questions up, and I can see her studying everything really carefully. Hi, EL. How are you? Jason. Am I Jason? If the bees are still using that old comb, wouldn't you wait till spring to do that when there are more resources for them to make new comb with? Oh, I see. Yeah, I think that's what I said, but in the spring, let everything kind of get off of your bees during the winter. They move up off of old comb, and then you can kind of take the old comb off the bottom boxes and replace it with newer comb so they can build on the spring. But yeah, spring is a good time. Our bees really don't make much more wax here in Illinois much after July. They just get tired of making wax. Clarence, how are you? Hi, David. I will be starting in the spring with a flow hive running 2 bottom boxes using the green drone frame. Do you run one in just one box or one in both boxes? Love your videos. Very informative. Thanks. Good to hear flow hive person there. Yeah. Did you see my videos where I was doing the flow hive this year as well? Good idea to use a green drone comb. It's for mite trapping. And here's one. They look like this, and they're called green drone comb because they're green and they're drones. These size cells are bigger. So the queen is going to lay only unfertilized drone eggs there. So that'd be what you're referring to. The reason why these are useful for all of you that may not know this, if you use these, you can use them to trap the varroa destructor mites. Studies were done in the last year or two by several people, but some that showed that mites actually prefer to be around drones, young drones, to feast upon their fat bodies. And certainly they like to go into drone-sized cells because these drones have a longer time period of 24 days until they emerge, so giving mites more time to make more mites. But anyway, those are good to put in a hive. Question of whether you should use one or two. If you have the time, one in each of your brood boxes would catch more mites. You take it out, freeze it for a couple of days, put it back in. So you're going to have 4 altogether. One is going to be being frozen. One's going to be being built out in the hive in a box. So yeah, more is better in this case. Absolutely. If you have the time and labor to do it. Absolutely. I love using the drone comb. Yeah. What's fun, you can actually scrape them open with a honey scraper for uncapping scraper, and you can actually see if they have drone mites on the drones. Pull some drones out and look for mites. It's quite alarming what you might see too. The good old green drone comb. It's a good IPM method of trapping the Varroa destructor mites, not having to use any kind of chemicals or anything. Another way that I love to trap mites is by just not really trapping them, but breaking the queen's brood cycle. That's been something I've used very successfully. I might even say, I don't know if I would say this on a live stream or not, but I might say I've had better luck using, I think I've had better luck doing some drone or doing some like taking the queen and caging her and breaking that brood cycle of the queen for about a week and then letting her out in July, August, September. That really does work well for me. I would say as good as treatments do, because you're cutting down on the ability of those mites to reproduce when they're wanting to reproduce the most. So that's helped me a lot, breaking the queen's brood cycle. Powdered sugar dusting is another way. That was something that was first kind of thought of in labs where people were using it to get mites off of bees in bee labs. So it's not 100%. That shouldn't be your only game in town, but it does help. Hey, Randall, had a hive that all the bees left. Any reason why? Wow, that could be a million things, Randall. Sorry about that. That is just sad when it happens. I assume if it could be a couple of things. It could be they absconded, like they all just left at once to go live somewhere else. Who knows why they do that? Or it could be that they slowly died off and you didn't realize that they died, got population got low as they died off. So that could be another thing as well. That's too bad. But and I would still save all of that comb and frames and try again, try again. That's going to help a lot. Let's take one more question. We'll take one more question, and then we have a announcement to make and some other things to talk about. Who's got another good question, last minute question on your mind? I can see Jessica scouring around there for a question. She's looking. Well, she may not find one. She's got one from Mark here. Will bees eat more in winter when weather is warm, like 3 degrees Celsius? We have no winter here in Canada this year. Will bees eat more in winter when the weather is warm? Bees will always eat more when the weather's warm. Absolutely. When the weather's warm, bees are going to be more active. When bees are in a cluster, they're less active, although they are still heating things. They're using their thoracic muscle to heat things up, but they're not going to use as much. When bees start flying like they're doing now, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable how much bees use so much resources by flying. Clarence, thanks for becoming a member here on my YouTube channel. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining. Wow, welcome. Good to have you. But yeah, I mean, that's why I like to feed bees in the winter, because right now my bees are eating through a lot of resources on these warm days flying like that. So kind of scary. All right. Good questions tonight. I'm going to bring Sherry on board. Sherry's going to help us with a few items. Hi, Sherry.
Hi. How's everybody tonight?
They all said they're doing good. I heard them.
I always think somebody's going to answer that question when I say it. So
yeah, I know.
Hey, David, you have to actually tell Jessica that she needs to leave.
Okay, Jessica, I'm going to take you away now. Bye.
Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica. Let's see.
We appreciate it.
I don't think I can. I think, can I? Let me look. Oh, she left by her own goodwill. She disappeared. Yeah. So you fired Jessica. What's wrong? Everybody loves Jessica.
I know. Don't we all love Jessica? Don't we all love her?
I like what she does to help us out.
It is great. So I want to tell you a little bit about Jessica. So we've been doing this. It hasn't been a year yet, but I think it's going on a year pretty soon, hasn't it, David, the live stream?
I bet it has been, yeah.
I think it has been. So in the beginning, so I have been the only one behind the scenes. And so behind the scenes, there's a little bit of work that has to be done as far as throwing up comments and questions and banners and keeping track of different kinds of things. And it was getting a little overwhelming to me. And I also thought, gosh, what if I have to be gone some Thursday night? And so I happened to notice on the comment section that Jessica was on there, and she was doing such a great job of being so positive and helping people and answering questions. And so I said, hey, if you're free on Thursday nights, would you mind just helping me out on the live stream? And she's like, sure, I'll be able to do it. So she's here every Thursday night for you guys. And she volunteers her time, and she helps to do all the things behind the scenes. And she has been great to do that for us every single week. So what we thought we would do, and I also got several of you who have mentioned this to me, that we would like to thank Jessica for the time that she has put into it for us. And so what we thought we would do is next week. So we want you all to come back next week, and all donations for the evening are going to go to Jessica as a great big thank you to her from all of us. Doesn't that sound great?
It really does. It's a nice big Christmas gift, because actually Jessica started with our live stream from the very first one. She was on there working, and not working, but helping and kind of talking to people over in the chat and all. So that was really cool. Thanks, Don, for your super sticker today. Appreciate that a lot. So Jessica has really been here. She hasn't missed a one, I don't think. And so that's when she just is so nice to have there, because we can rely on her to help us out. Like Sherry said, if Sherry can't be there on a Thursday night or something, it's good to have somebody else to pitch in and help. And so we just want to be able to thank her for helping us, give her a little Christmas present. So yeah, all donations next week will go to help Jessica. Now, if you can't be here, you can always send Jessica a gift in the mail, and we'll get it to her. And here's our address, P.O. Box 254. You can see it there. So you can actually send a gift and maybe a card to Jessica if you want to do that, a Christmas card.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is next week, come in, be prepared. Jessica's not going to be on with us.
We want to keep it a secret from her. Yeah.
We'll keep it a secret. And so at the end, we'll bring her on, and we'll all tell her Merry Christmas and thank you. And
yeah.
Will be for her. Meanwhile, you can also donate. If some people don't want to donate on a live stream, so you can go to our website and you can donate and just put Jessica's name in the comment section when you make your donation. And then, you don't have to make a donation. It might be a tough time for you. This is a time when we're trying to get things for our kids, and, groceries are terrible. But you know what? It doesn't have to be money. If you want to send a card, a Christmas card or a thank you card, go ahead and do that and send it to us. There's the address right there. Send it to us, and we'll make sure that she gets it. We'll pass it on to Jessica for you.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Wow. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to helping Jessica out, Sherry. And I know all of our Beak Squad members are going to enjoy, like you said, sending her a card. Doesn't have to be money, but just a thank you, something like that to help her out. That'd be a big help.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. So let's just all gather next week, and we'll say thank you to Jessica, and it will be great. It will be great. We'll see y'all there next week.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. Sherry, I wanted to let everybody know, you wouldn't say this, but behind you are just a arsenal, a whole bunch of awards that you have won. Look at that. Wow, good for you.
Well, yours are there. Those are yours.
You're not supposed to show people that up there. That's supposed to always be kept confidential. I hope they can't make that out. So, there's David Lewis. Thanks. Oh, yeah. There you go. Keep track of that. There's a donation for Jessica.
I'll keep track of it.
Sherry will keep track. All right. Well, anyway, tell people how you got all those things, Sherry.
Well, they are for walking challenges, actually. So some of them are for certain lengths, as far as there's 5Ks or 10Ks. One of them was for going 1,000 miles last year. And then the one that I'm the most proud of is for, you can also get them for going to certain places. And so this past summer, David, as a wonderful gift for me, sent me far, far away from him and tell me, go walk up this mountain. And so I did it. I didn't know that I could do it, but I did it. And so I was awarded my hiking medal for doing that. So
Yeah.
that was fun.
Yeah. You are, I have to say that your level of expertise and intelligence in nutrition and exercise is quite amazing. Wow.
I have to keep
Really
you
is.
fit.
Yeah, I think you're losing that battle though.
I'm not. I think for your age, you're looking good.
Well, thank you. But I hear the things that you say and it's like, wow, that makes a lot of sense, but I don't want to do that. I did enjoy biking today. I bike about every other day, sometimes every day, but I'll go between I'll bike an hour or 2 hours. I have one bike trip that takes me 2 hours of biking. And I just get that's a tough. I bike hard. I was noticing today that I bike so hard that it's hard for me to even talk while I'm biking, because I took a camera with me and it was, I'm always out of breath. I'm biking that hard. But I've been a biker since I was probably in my 20s. I did a little bike racing in the past too. And so I love biking and it does keep you in shape. I think it's good, but I don't know, Sherry. I think biking 2 hours doesn't do any good. What do you say? You're the expert. 2 hours you're not getting much return, are you, after an hour?
I mean, if you're having fun, go
Oh,
for it. And it's certainly good for lots of things, from your heart to your mood to all sorts of things. But yeah, I think after about an hour, I think that's some diminishing returns to it. Yeah.
yeah, that's good. Well, I know that one day I'll be too old to do it, so I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can. But hats off to you for all that walking, 1,000 miles. That's did you do all that in like a week or a month or something? How long did it take you to walk 1,000 miles?
It took me a year.
A year. Wow.
Yeah, and it's only like 3 miles a day, but then you miss a
Oh.
day, and now you've got 6, and then you
Oh
get
yeah,
6,
yeah.
and now you've got 9. So
I remember one day, I remember when you were doing it, you were, really keeping track of it. It was quite funny because I remember one day it's like, oh, I need to do 6 miles today. And I'm like, this guy that's in top shape. I'm like, yeah, I'll come do 6 miles with you. I got to tell you, walking 6 miles, you use different muscles than when you're biking, but I was surprised how that can really wear you out walking 6 miles. It really can. And you walk at a fast clip too.
yeah.
Wow. Well, all right. Well, Sherry, congratulations for all those awards back there. And I do appreciate Sherry's always wanting to help people out and taking time to help Jessica out. It's a big thing to do for Jessica. I'm sure to help her a lot.
Yeah,
All right.
so don't forget next week.
Next week, bring some donation money so we can send a big a bonus to Jessica for all her help. All right. I'll say goodbye to Sherry then. Or you want to stay on and say goodbye to everybody?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. See you, Sherry. Wow. Good. A lot of good things going on. Well, Thursday always rolls around and it makes me feel like it's the end of the week because I work hard making videos on the weekends, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then live stream on Thursday. And sometimes Friday is like, Friday, I don't really have a heavy schedule. So it's always good to see Friday roll around. But I really do enjoy these live streams. I'm just kicking myself that I didn't start earlier. I'm depressed. But anyway, things just weren't right. You have to say that was fate. I just wasn't ready to start live stream. Now we are, and here we are having a live stream. So thank you all for being a part of my live streams. I really do appreciate it. You make it worthwhile with all your kind comments and everything. And it's like fun seeing you here and seeing different ones in the chat talking. And I have a good time just knowing I'm getting familiar with a lot of you and who you are. So that's easier for me now too. So it's always good. And a new thing that I saw some of you signed up for, I do have channel membership. That's just a way to support my channel. And so you can sign up to support me monthly. And that's always a good thing. So if you watch any of my videos, you'll see at the bottom, it'll say join. And if you click join, it will it will give you some options, and you can make a decision what you want to do to become a member of the channel. So I want to thank, I saw a lot of members that were here tonight. So thank you guys for joining and supporting my channel. I think the secret's out that one day I'm going to get old. I really am. And I'm going to have to learn to make my living off YouTube. I'm only 63. I'll be 64 on January the 20th. I'll be 64, so I'm still, like Sherry said, I'm still liking bees. I'm still liking out there in the bee yard working. I like making videos and all that, but I don't spend as much time like I used to have to work bees all day long. Now I make videos all day long. So I like this much better, making videos, because I like helping you guys out. I really do. I like sharing information that I know, mistakes that I've made, and it gives me great pleasure to just basically give out this knowledge and wisdom that I have gained by, school of hard knocks. And then I can say, don't do that. That was a mistake I made and it's not going to end well. So, sharing my knowledge it's just great for me to do that. I feel like I found my spot in the world by being able to help other people in beekeeping. It brings me a lot of joy. It really does. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how I got here, but here I am doing it, and it's really working out well for me. I really do say it's all because you guys are great. You've helped me so much on my channel, and I really want to thank you so much for it. I love you guys immensely. If I could see you face to face, give you a hug, it'd be awesome. But just knowing what you're dealing with, because I've been through it all, and knowing your joys and frustration in beekeeping, and knowing your excitement on learning new things, and sharing that experience with you, it's just a doggone pleasure. It really is. Gosh, I'm so glad about that. So I want to say thank you guys so much for being a part of my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being part of the live stream tonight. And I'm going to say good night tonight. Hope your week goes really well. Hope you're doing good with all the holidays here in the U.S. and hope you're having a good time getting things ready. Don't get too stressed out. Calm down. Let's enjoy ourselves and enjoy this time of the year, okay? Good night, everybody. I'll see you soon.